Today I'm going to talk to you about the IBIS Parser. Now we all know what an IBIS model is, right? It's a way to represent your IOs of your drivers and receivers. Now it used to be you would use a SPICE model, but the problem with SPICE models is that it reveals proprietary transistor information, right? So the IC vendors really don't want to give those out, or they used to give them out as encrypted models. So IBIS was developed as a way to answer that issue and allow engineers to simulate IOs in their system level designs without revealing proprietary information. So it works out pretty well for everyone involved. Now IBIS is a specification, and it has a specification document, it has a working group, and within that framework of the working group they developed something called the IBIS Parser. Now sometimes it's called the golden parser, sometimes it's called the IBIS checker, but it's all the same thing. And what you do with the IBIS Parser is you run it on your IBIS model, and it'll tell you if your IBIS model is compliant with the IBIS specification. And so it's a really good tool to use, and it's really your first line of defense in checking the IBIS quality of your model, right? Because if your IBIS model doesn't pass the IBIS Parser, then you know that there's issues with the models and no sense in going through the rest of your quality checks. You're just going to waste your time. So you should really run the IBIS Parser as the very first thing on your IBIS model. Now the problem with the IBIS Parser is it's really only the beginning of your IBIS quality checking flow. It's not the end, right? Because what it doesn't do is it doesn't allow you to provide parameters or input into it to check with. So for example, you can't tell the IBIS Parser to check the output drive strength of your IO and to see if it's between 40 and 60 ohms, right? It's not going to do that. What it will do though is it will check the different specification parameters, and it will check some basic data integrity involved in your IBIS model file. So that's good, right? And so again, the IBIS Parser is the beginning of your IBIS model quality flow, but not the end. So let's go and see this in action.
Okay, so here I have a sample IBIS file, and I also have the IBIS Parser. This is one of the latest ones. This is version 6. You can see that it's actually called IBIS check. And so this is for Windows, the executable for Windows. You can download one for Linux as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to run this from a command line from a MS-DOS prompt, and then also show you how it works in a tool, EDA tool, and for this example I'll use IBIS DRC. So here we are at a command prompt. This is actually using Windows PowerShell because I like PowerShell. It's got a blue screen. It's pretty cool. So to use the IBIS Parser, you simply just need to run the executable, and I'll run it without running on an IBIS file. And so here you can see where it's telling you what it does, and there's some also different flags that you can run, and you really don't need to use these unless you're doing something advanced. So I'm just going to show you how this looks when you run it on an IBIS file. And so you can here you can see that it's showing that we have no errors, and it's also giving us some notes that maybe some of the data isn't non-monotonic, but overall the file passed. Now you can see one of the problems with using the IBIS Parser from a command line is you can't see what line numbers these are yet. You're going to actually have to open up this IBIS file in a text editor because it's ASCII text. IBIS is, it's not encrypted, but you're better off to use some sort of IBIS editing tool. So let's go and look at this inside of IBIS DRC. So here I have IBIS DRC open, and I have the same IBIS buffer model open as well. And this is just a sample DDR3 IBIS model. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here and I'm going to run the IBIS Parser. So now you can see I'm running the same one that we ran before, and I get the same notes, the same errors, no errors, and that the file passed. But in this case, I can click on the line number and the tool will take me to it, okay? And this is a feature in IBIS DRC. And some other IBIS modeling tools have some of these features and some of them don't. And so you can kind of see how easy it is to use it within your EDA tool framework. Now I will say that within IBIS DRC, I'm actually just linking to it. It's not embedded. So what I do is I allow users to come in here, and you can browse and select whichever IBIS check version you want. And this is actually more useful for debugging. Sometimes you're using older models or using a newer tool, and you want to figure out exactly, is it the IBIS model version or is it the version of IBIS check? So this gives you a little bit more flexibility to allow you to do some advanced debugging if you need it. And that's it. That's how you use the IBIS Parser, both from a command line and within an EDA tool.
Thanks for joining me today for this coffee break video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or feedback, or if you have a topic that you'd like me to discuss next time, send me an email at tim@signalbytestech.com, and be sure to join us online at signalbytestech.com. Sign up for our newsletter, be notified when we do another one of these videos. Now, I'm going to have another cup of coffee, and it's probably time for you to get back to work. I'll see you next time.